February the 22nd was an unforgettable day. 115 people were killed when the CTV building collapsed during a major earthquake. In 2012, Coroner Gordon Matinga conducted an inquest into the deaths of the students who were known to be alive following the collapse of the CTV building. This is his report. Within the document, he lists his findings into the deaths of the 8 people who were still alive 4 hours after the building collapsed. 5 of the students on the eastern side of the CTV building were still communicating using their mobile phones for at least 12 hours after the collapse. All died from crush injuries, the effects of fire, or injuries suffered after the collapse. But the coroner has found the search and rescue effort did not contribute to their deaths, despite it being criticised for its leaderless and ill-equipped approach.
Your discipline will impose order within chaos, and that's what was sadly lacking on that day in CTV.
Alex Savedanov's wife was one of the 8 trapped under the rubble. Tamara Savedanova didn't make it out alive.
If it was better communication between the police and the firefighters in the other service, I believe the outcome would be much better, which doesn't necessarily mean Tamara will be rescued, but more people will.
Alec first spoke to his wife at about 10 to 11 that night. For nearly 10 hours she'd been injured and trapped under a mountain of rubble. Tamara told her husband she wasn't scared because she knew people were trying to rescue her. She made her last call at 12:50 a.m. The call connected for 18 seconds, but nothing was said.
Whatever that collapse was, it didn't happen until 13, 14 hours after the quake, so there's that period of time. So in a way, it doesn't matter what triggered that collapse. It was the fact that she was there and alive, and others were there and alive, and the lack of resources and people that were put in on that side of the building where those known live people were.
The coroner's report commended the rescue efforts of those working at the CTV building. He said they were outstanding, courageous and selfless, but the report also said the outcome could have been better if there had been extra resources and better communication. But he wasn't satisfied that those measures would have helped to save the lives of the 8 students.
I never said I had any questions for the frontline people that were engaged, but it was visible that the command above that failed on crucial points.
In this instance, the coroner agreed, stating there was a major failure by senior fire service staff to establish an overall incident controller and command post at the CTV site. Transport difficulties meant USAR staff from the North Island did not make it to Christchurch until 12 hours after the earthquake.
Maybe a reflection of lack of organisation, maybe a reflection of lack of people, maybe a reflection of lack of resources, maybe all 3.
Some equipment was being used on one side of the building, while rescue staff on Tamara's side weren't using that equipment.
Cutting equipment, listening equipment, could have made the world of difference. She was known to be there. That equipment stayed on the other side of the building. Nobody knew what one side had and the other side didn't have. That's where an ICP was so important. That's why command structures were so important.
This is the end of Alec's campaign. He accepts the coroner's findings. This is his last media interview. He will now spend his free time with his children, enjoying this special spot at Burnside Primary where him and his wife planted a tree. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.